This screencast is going to talk about handout number 2. We're talking about religion here. A little bit of prayer is the dependent variable. This is a data I used for my master's thesis. I asked individuals a variety of questions, some of which included religion. So for sex equals 0, females. If you look here at the coding, numbers 1 through 7 for the our prayer is just how often did you pray? Coding's up here from never to multiple times a day. So about half of women said they never pray. 14.3% said they prayed multiple times a day. I mean, you can use any other percentage you want, but I'll just use those two extremes. Sex equals 1, this is for males. About a third, 31% of males say they never pray. About a fifth, 20.7% of males say they pray multiple times a day. That's all you need to say there. So now when you begin your presentation, of course, you'll want to give your hypothesis. So let's say that my hypothesis is women pray more than men. Okay. So I've done number 2, the frequencies. Again, I'm using this information here because my prayer variable is, as you can see up here, it's an ordinal level variable. If it were interval or ratio, I would use the mean, but it's not. It's ordinal level. Correlations. Now you see this is the number you want right here. Oops. This number right here. No asterisks. So what that means is there's no significant association between a person's sex, how much they pray. That tells you right there your hypothesis is wrong. But you still have to interpret the correlation. What does this number mean? When you have a dichotomous variable like sex with just two groups, 0 and 1, the sign, this is a positive, even though there's no plus there, it is a positive number. The sign tells you how the ones differ from the zeros. Again, what you have here is I had 178 cases, 178 people. They told me what their sex was, how often they prayed. So think of each pair of answers. What's your sex? How often do you pray? What's your sex? How often do you pray? 178 times. And what the computer found is that the ones, again, just take this at my word, the sign tells you about the ones, how the ones are different from the zeros. That's just how the math works out. The sign tells you about the ones. Since it's a positive number, the ones, who are my ones when you look at sex? Males. So being a positive number, that means the ones were higher because it's a positive number, were higher on this variable scale. What does it mean to be higher on the prayer scale? Multiple times a day, you're doing it more. So again, if you can picture just a list of individuals, their sex is listed here, 0s and 1s. Over here is listed their response to the prayer variables. Every time there was a 1 over here, let's say, for which would be males, you saw a higher number over here for the prayer. The 0s, which is of course a lower number than the 1s, 0s had lower numbers. So what this is showing is that the 1s, again, because this is a positive number, the ones here were on the higher end of the scale here. Again, you go back up. My 1s are my males, and they were on the higher end of the scale here. So even though it wasn't significant, males said they pray more. That's number 3. This is taking my independent variable and breaking it down to 2 groups. So R pray less than or equal to 2. What that means is these are my people who just didn't pray at all. We'll call them not religious. The never or the hardly ever prayed. And so here we go. So these are the people who didn't pray, weren't religious, however you want to phrase it. I had 57 females, 39 males, 96 total people. For the R pray is 3 or greater. Can go back up. That is the multiple times a month, once a week, multiple times a day, things like that. So for those people, let's see, right there I had 34 females, 48 males. And so here's a breakdown of the numbers. We'll do this for the chi-square in a sec, but using this breakdown of numbers, I developed this table. So for number 4, I would say something like, let's see here. This is backwards. Let me correct this right now. So it's good to double check your work. More. Okay, so what my table would say is that men pray more often than women, because you're comparing this percent to that percent. I mean, I could say women pray less often than men, but if I say that men pray more often than women, I'm saying the same thing. So you want to compare this percent to this percent, or you want to compare this one to that one. Whichever one you want is fine. So for number 4, the table, I would say that men pray more often than women. Now, is that a significant association? That's what the chi-square test tells you. And so if you remember, you go back and look in the file that explains all the steps of the chi-square. We did that when we had the broadcast from the classroom over in the library. So I'm not going to go over that PowerPoint again, but I can if you want to meet and talk about it. But this just shows the math. So I have, these are the numbers. I observed 39 males here and 34 females here, and so on. So these numbers here are my expected values. So these are the observed that you saw in the last slide. And I got this number here. Okay, make sure so you're taking the observed and you're finding its expected value. So these two numbers here I'm pairing up together. These two are paired together, and so on. So here's I observed 39 males who are not religious. Given that I surveyed 178 people, 96 people in this row, 82 in that row, 91 in that column, 87 in that column, how many males would I expect to be not religious? Well, I take this observed, the column total, times this row total, divided by the grand total. I get 46.921. There were 34 females who were religious. How do I get the expected value? I take its column total, 91, times its row total, 82, divided by the grand total, 178. I got 49.079 by multiplying 91 times 96 divided by 178. I got 40.079 by multiplying 87 times 96 divided by 178. And again, I can meet with you if you want, or give more screencasts. The purpose of this screencast is just to show you how you would interpret things. I can definitely give more explanation as you need. So I take the expected value and the observed value and do a little bit of math here. To get the test statistic, you square the observed. So again, you have to make sure you remember what numbers you're pairing up here. I'm going to compare these two numbers and then these two numbers and so on. So I'd square 39, divide by 46.921, I get 32.416. I square 57, divide by 49.079. I get 57.486. I square 48 and divide by 40.079. I get 66.199. And then I square 34 and divide by 41.921, and I get 27.576. Then that equals 183.677. I'm almost done. I almost have my test statistic. Once I get this number here, from it I have subtracted the grand total in my table, which is 178. I get 5.677. Since this is greater than this is a known value. That's just given. Where 3.841 has to be, if your test statistic, which I want you to report, is greater than this known value, there's a significant association going on here. So I would turn in my test statistic. I don't need to see your math. And you would say that there is a significant association between sex and prayer. And if you go back, if you look at the table again, you would say that, yes, what I said earlier about men praying more often than women, it is a significant difference. Men are significantly more likely to pray more often than women. And that's what you do.